How you doing? This is Sean McVay, Sean's Outdoor Adventures. I'm going to go over my gear for this hunting season. I've been getting requests from people. They want to see what I'm using, so here we go. I'm going to just start off actually with my bow since it's on the table, and I'll get it out of the way. So right now I have the Mathews V3X, 33-inch axle to axle. I just got a new GoPro 13. I did a video on this little mounting bracket I made to put on the site. Mathews quiver for the arrows. I'm using the Dragon 10 arrows, very economical arrow. And what spine am I shooting this year? 340 spine. I don't know the overall weight of my arrow setup off the top of my head, but it's probably right around 400 grains. For the broadhead, I'm going with two different broadheads mainly. This is the QAD, the Exodus broadhead, fixed blade. I also have G5 Montec, so I'll be using those for broadheads. For the sight, I have the Trophy Ridge React Pro 5-pin .010 diameter pins. I've been using this sight for probably 5 to 10 years. I don't know, it's a long time. For the rest, I have the Hamskea Epsilon drop away limb-driven arrow rest. I also have TAP titanium archery products. I'm just using the rear-facing stabilizer bar this year. I am doing a giveaway with one of these at the end of the hunting season, and I'll explain how to get in on that later. This is the True Ball short and sweet hook on release with the swept back finger trigger. I have been using this for a long time. This is my favorite release. So I like the swept back finger and the hook. You can just hook it on the D loop without looking down when you're in a hunting situation. And right now my phone is blowing up with, I'm getting live trail camera pictures right now. I'm running some of the Geared Pro trail cameras. I'm going to make a separate video on that to air tomorrow, so stay tuned for that. In this box right here, I have the scent blender. I haven't even opened it yet. I'm planning on giving it a try. Have no affiliation with the company. I bought it myself. It's not something that they're, so I'll give you an honest review on that once I break it out and try it. If you've been staying up with my channel, I just made this one stick, for climbing. I'm going to use my XOP stand a lot. Hang on. I just got to give a shout out to Michael Bierman. He helped me make this pouch for my saddle. I wanted something bigger to fit more stuff. This is my run and gun kind of setup. So I have my rope. And by the way, if you want to meet Michael, you got to come to the 8:30 Mass on Sunday at St. Jude Church in Cedar Rapids. He's usually door greeting. So I have my hand descender with my foot loop, and that goes into this side pocket here that we made. On the other side, I have my gree. This is for my SRT climbing method. And so I have my main rope here. Then in the bottom, I have cordage with a carabiner that I hook on to pull it down when I'm done, or whatever the case is. I have a cordage in there. For my saddle, I'm using the Cruiser. This saddle, I really like it. It's got, when you're doing the one stick climbing method, you're kind of hanging there a lot, so there's a lot of coverage to cover your backside. It can fold down. There's like a seam here. You can fold it down so there's less. I did buy some of their cargo pouches, but the material so noisy, and it's not breathable. If your ropes are wet, they can't dry out as easily as the mesh bags. So that was another reason why I wanted to make this. So I'm gonna actually probably be taking that off. But other than that, I really like the saddle. I would just recommend the mesh bags. For a video camera, I've been primarily using this Canon Vixia, what is it again? GX10 for the last couple seasons. I'll probably use it again this year. It's a little bit bigger than what I like carrying around. I would prefer something a little smaller. It's getting harder and harder to find a, a camcorder style camera anymore for filming. A lot of companies have just stopped making them, but for filming hunts, when you're doing it by yourself, this is ideal. The little cameras, the little flip cameras, and different things like that, even your phone, you just don't get the image stabilization and zoom quality that you have with something like this. So I still prefer a camcorder style camera for filming. I got to interrupt this pre-recorded program. I don't know what I was doing. I recorded this video and I was just editing it. I'm like, I didn't even pull out my video camera arm from my backpack for this video. So allow me to do that real quick. So this is the camera arm by Lone Wolf Custom Gear. It's okay. I'm gonna give it an okay. They're pretty expensive, and this is a Manfrotto. I don't know how you pronounce it. Fluid head. Definitely love their products. The camera arm here, though, it's a bit bouncy. So I also have a Fourth Arrow camera arm. It's just a lot bigger and bulkier and hard. It doesn't fit inside my pack, which is a drawback for me. So I end up using this one because it fits in my pack. And but anyhow, the footage you get from it isn't as good because it is bouncy. I'm going to continue with a couple other things that I forgot to include. First of all, this, as far as rattle antlers, this is a 6-pointer. I had a special love for this rack. I just love the symmetry of it. It was only a 6-pointer, but it was public land in Maryland. If I remember, I'll link the video to this. I'm going to put this video on a bunch of different platforms. So like YouTube, I can link videos. Other platforms, maybe not as much. But man, this was such a cool rack, and I called them in. But the skull plate fell and broke, and I was like, So I ended up making rattle antlers out of it. I probably should have tried to fix the skull plate though. But this is nice and compact. It's easy to transport, and I just take like a little rubber tie and put it around there and twist it together, and that can go right on the outside of my backpack and just like strap to the backpack. So that's what I'm using for rattle antlers in situations where I have a long hike in. If I'm closer to it's not a long hike, I have bigger antlers they're heavier and louder that I'll use on shorter hunts. I do carry a battery pack for like my phone and GPS and stuff. For the GPS, this is the Garmin GPS Map 66SR. So this is one of their newer units. For many years, I was using the Montana 680T, I believe it's called. Let me see if I can see it somewhere on here. Yeah, 680T. T stands for Topo Maps. The 680T, I don't know if they're still making it. I definitely prefer the 680T over this. The drawback to their newer models, like this one, is their topographic maps are lame. Like, you would probably have to pay to get better topo maps than what's on here. It doesn't have hardly any contour lines compared to what they used to. So when you're reading topography for hunting, this isn't showing you hardly anything. Whereas this, you could pick out benches and spurs and especially the benches. Like when the topo lines there's more topo lines given to you, you can see where there's a bench because they're spaced out. Here, there's so few topo lines to begin with, you can't tell the spacing. Anyhow, so this is a decent unit. It also gives you the downloadable bird's eye imagery with this. This is no longer supported for this, or you have to pay. You've always had to pay for getting the bird's eye imagery on this one, but this one it's like lifetime free, I believe. So pluses and minuses, you do get aerial photos that you can download. Negative is the topo's just awful. So, but I really, especially on my public land hunts, my map reading challenge hunts, I like having a GPS. So I have a GoPro 13 and I also have a GoPro 11. One I'm going to have on my bow, and one I like to try to set up in a tree behind me. It's really nice having both views. Sometimes I can't always turn around to get the one on the tree, but it is nice to have. This particular one currently has a clip. Um, but what I've been doing, let me get it real quick. Hold on a second. I just picked up a new one because the old GorillaPod type thing I had broke. But this one here, it comes with the GoPro mount. It's kind of geared toward for GoPros. This one's also a little bit smaller than what I had, so this one is actually really ideal for this. This is better suited for than the other one. The head can rotate and you can pivot this. So like what I like to do is I have my tether around the tree about head height. So I'll put two arms of this behind the tether and the other one kind of like this to stabilize it, and then I'll position the head, and then it's right behind me. So this is actually more versatile than the clip because if there's a branch nearby that gives me a better angle, I can wrap the legs around the branch and have it that way as well. So this is going to be my go-to for the camera, either behind me or next to me or somewhere. But I really like, if you're filming yourself, having this is great. You could almost even film all your hunts with just a POV camera like a GoPro. You could have like one on here and then the other one on your bow or something like I have, and then you get you get the shot. But then if you can get the one behind you turned on in time, you can see you doing all that. It's kind of a nice nice overall view. So now let me kick back into what I had already recorded but left these things out. All right, let's move on to the backpack. This is the one most people are probably interested in. This is an XOP backpack. I've been using it for years. It's really been very durable. I really like this backpack. I'm going to start at the top. So I have a carabiner here, and I have a rope in the side pouch here. I put the rope around the tree, and then I clip my carabiner to it. That's how I hang my backpack. Pretty simple. But I'm going to start in the top pocket and work my way down. And I can tell you right out of the gate that I usually keep chapstick in this top pocket, especially for the colder months of the year. But we're just getting started off in the season, and I don't have any in there right now. So I have this little tiny light that I clip onto my hat. I prefer this over like the ones that strap around your head. And then I, turn it on to go in and out if I need it, or if I'm setting up in the dark. And then I just take it off and I put it in this pouch. I also have a brighter handheld one. So especially if I'm gutting a deer or something, I've got this one on. But for tracking, or if I need a brighter light, I actually carry two lights at all times. I always keep a spare carabiner in this pocket and a spare release. So this is the original short and sweet release that I bought many moons ago, and it's still working. Just double check it. But I keep a spare release if you drop it, your release, or you forget it, then you got a spare. So always keep a spare release. All right, so top pocket here. This is my homemade bow holder for on public lands, or actually any hunt. I mean, you just put it wrapped around a tree. I do have a video on how to make that. If I remember, I'll try to link it for you, depending on what platform you're watching this on. So in this pocket, I have emergency stuff, that, hand warmers, and this is actually a little kit for going to the bathroom if you need it. All right, side pocket over here. I have my trusty bow hoist. I've had this for 25 years or so. They're hard to find. By the way, I have two backpacks loaded and ready to go with everything that I'm showing you. I have a different brand of one of these, but still one of these types of bow hoists in my other pack. It's a bigger pack for doing pack outs. But so this bow hoist, I like it. It's bigger and heavier than a lot of the ones they make now, but see how wide that is? When you're lowering your bow down with the weight of it, you can pinch this and slow it down and not burn your fingers. There's some that I've bought that are smaller, and the stuff just cuts into your fingers when you're trying to lower it. So this is my bow hoist. Awesome. This thing's last me forever. Like I said, I've had it probably 25, 30 years. I have an extra little strap for strapping my, like, something like climbing sticks together or whatever. Put that there. I do have in this side pocket right here. I started carrying just a single glove. So, like, for the hand that holds the bow, I've had camouflage gloves for years, uh, especially when the temperatures start to drop a little bit. But what happens is those gloves start to stink really bad if I use them on every hunt. So I bought a pack of like these. There was like 12 gloves, super cheap. So I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use them more disposably. Like when it when it starts to smell and have an odor that doesn't go away easily, that thing is going in the trash, and I'm just going to replace it. Because that's an issue, and you guys keep track of that when you're out there. If you have a glove on your hand and you're wearing it on every hunt, keep track of the odor of that glove and how bad is it, and because that glove itself could really mess up your hunt. So I have my licenses and rubber gloves. I buy a big box of rubber gloves every year. Sometimes it lasts me a couple years, but I put rubber gloves in my pack for gutting deer, and also for all the butchering and stuff. I have rubber gloves. So license, rubber gloves. This one happens to be a Gerber. I I have to have a gut hook on my knife. So this one has a gut hook. I won't I won't use a knife for gutting deer unless I have a gut hook. If I have to, I'll go without it. But if I'm packing my own pack, there's going to be a gut hook on there. This is a great knife. Now, for all my butchering, this is my favorite knife in the whole wide world. I've butchered so many deer with this exact knife. I love it. So it has a curved blade. It's a short blade, and man, you can get into around bones and debone it really nice. This is my go-to right here. Oh man, I really, and I'll try to provide links for a lot of this stuff if you're depending on what platform you're watching. I have a backup rope in here, and only on private land I carry these. I actually take these out when I'm on public land because I don't ever want to be accused by like some game officer of cutting up trees. It's just not worth it to me. So I don't cut up the trees on public land so they don't get in trouble. But right there, I have little hand pruning shears, and then a little knife, a little saw if you ever need it on private land. Public land, I just actually use twine and I'll tie branches out of the way. When you're in the rut doing all day sits, I actually carry a toothbrush. Um, uh, Zip ties. Always have a couple zip ties. Depending on what state you're in, you may need zip ties for holding on your tag. A little knife sharpener. I keep that in my pack as well. All right, let's go inside here. In this pocket here is all of my important stuff. So I have a pair of binoculars. What was the power on these? These are 10 by 42. And this is just a pretty simple, inexpensive Bushnell pair of binoculars. For me, I don't need anything real fancy and expensive. I think I got those pretty cheaply. I have the Nikon Archer's Choice rangefinder in this pack. I have a Tide We1 in my other pack. I like this one because the material around the outside, if you bump it on something, it's nice and quiet. A lot of your rangefinders are hard plastic, so if you have it out and you bump it on something, it makes a click noise. And I've just made a longer piece of cordage I put it over my shoulder this way, and then I just kind of bring it up and range it, put it back down. And then, of course, my grunt call. This one here has a slidable, reed, so you can change the sound from a bleat to a deeper grunt. The drawback to that is if you pull it out and you think you're about to make a grunt, like a, but it's all the way up on the bleat, and you're like, well, that didn't even work. It's like, that's not what I was looking for. So you always got to double check that. I carry one of these Primos cans, even though I can do a fawn bleat with my voice. I carry one just as a backup, really, because if if it's really cold and I'm not super confident of being able to do that smoothly, then I just use the can. So that's my 2025 hunting gear. Check out my shirt. 3D Targets, always in season, and you don't need a license. That's one of my own designs. You can get that through my, my store page, or even sometimes on some of the platforms. We'll have links for it. Anyhow, thanks so much for tuning in. Stay tuned for the giveaways. Let me tell you about the giveaways. This year I'm giving away a Dragon X8 compound bow. I'm giving away 3. There'll be 3 winners for the Guard Pro or Guard Pro trail cameras. You get to the winners get to pick which trail camera they want from their website, and I'm also giving away a titanium archery product stabilizer. So the way that I'm going to do the giveaways is on my channel. I'm going to have a little scripture verse in every video. Just keep track of the scripture verses, and then in a live broadcast at the end of the hunting season, I will call people live. I'll have a Google form to sign up, and that way people who watch my videos are the ones who are winning the prizes. This is just my way of trying to make sure that the viewers are winning the prizes. So at the end of the season, I'll have that form. I'll call somebody live who has signed up, who's been keeping track of those scripture verses, and I'll just say, hey, what was the scripture verse from, whatever the title of the video is. Let's say I have a video called Third Doe of the Season. I'll say, what was the scripture verse from the Third Doe of the Season video? That person will tell me because they've kept track of it, and boom, they are the winner. And again, that's just to make sure that the viewers are getting the prizes and not just some random person swooping in because they saw I was doing a live show that day and has never watched any of my videos before. So that's how it works. I hope you'll stay tuned. Until then, take care and God bless.